Hi everybody, welcome to our Tuesday morning Keeper Chat. I'm Keeper Eric. Keeper Grace is working the camera. She's going to be asking me all your great questions, so go ahead and ask questions. We found a nice little donate button we could put on, so we added our Great Zoological Society. If you have a couple extra dollars, we know times are tight, but you can always donate some money to help take care of these animals, even though we're not open. Today we're going to be talking about the archerfish. And this is our archerfish tank here. Right now we've got 5 archerfish. These are the western variety. There's about 10 different species of archerfish, many of which live in fresh water, like these guys. But some of the archerfish live in brackish water, places like mangrove estuaries. So what happens is the fresh water runs down from the land and meets the ocean, and then when the tides come in, the fresh water and the salt water mix. So it's not an entirely salty environment like the ocean, but it's also not entirely fresh like a river. And some of the archerfish like to live there. These guys are freshwater, and they share their tank with the mossy frogs. And the mossy frogs are built for camouflage. They look like a patch of moss. You can see the guy sitting right here. That's an actual frog. He's just hanging out there. And when he wants to hide, he just goes and sits on a tree trunk in amongst a bunch of moss, and nobody can find him. Their skin's all bumpy. It's got a bunch of little protrusions all over. So they look kind of bizarre, but they're extremely well camouflaged. Archerfish there's very few species of fish that eat insects because most insects live above the ground or above the water, and the fish live in the water. So there's not a lot that eat just insects. Archerfish are one of the few, and what they do is they can spit a stream of water and eat it. So let me go ahead and put the crickets in that they're going to eat. Here, I'll show you the crickets they're going to eat. Just normal crickets like you would buy at the pet store for one of your animals. And then hopefully they'll be hungry and want to eat. So I'm going to crawl up top, open the lid, and let these crickets crawl out. There we go. You'll notice a couple of the crickets have fallen straight in the water. And the archerfish are pretty smart. They don't like to expend any energy unless they need to. So what they're going to do is probably go and attack those crickets on top of the water first. And then when they run out of those, then they'll start using their archer technique to get the others. Right now they're completely horizontal. When they are ready to hunt, they'll turn maybe to a 45-degree angle or so, and that'll enable their eye to see above the water, and they can spit and hit their prey. I'm going to scoot back. I think they might be kind of freaking out because I'm here. They don't like being terribly close to people.
Let us know if anybody has any questions about the archerfish.
Sometimes it takes them a minute to kind of calm down and relax and figure out what's going on. There we go. See? Most animals are like the archerfish. If there's easy prey or easy food, they're going to go for that first. Spitting takes a lot of energy, and it also would show a predator where you are if the predator sees your stream of water flying out of the water. So they don't want to advertise themselves unless they need to.
Haley would like to know, where are they from?
Oh, that's a great question. These archerfish are from Southeast Asia, and actually all of the archerfish species are found in Asia up through northern Australia. So India over to Sri Lanka and Indonesia down to the very top of Australia. takes a little while for them to get brave. It's kind of a disruption for me to go in and open the top, and they get kind of freaked out by that, so.
Brianna would like to know how long they typically live.
Oh, that's a good question. I have no idea, Brianna. I will have to look that up. I will get back to you later. I'll post, answer your question on Facebook later.
I think you already touched base on this a little bit, but you can go over it again. Becca would like to know, are these freshwater or brackish fish?
This particular species is freshwater, and archerfish can be either one, so they can be fresh or brackish water. And I think there's about 10 species, and 7 are fresh and 3 are brackish. But the most common ones that you see at the aquarium are the brackish ones.
Lincoln, age 8, would like to know how many fish can live in the tank together.
How many can? Well, that's an interesting question. We don't know. We have 5 right now, 5 archerfish, and then somewhere hiding in there is a plecostomus, which is one of the sucker fish that cleans the algae, and he's a really good hider. It's really hard to see him. We think 5 is a good number. We could probably fit a few more in. We could possibly put a different species in, but we know that these guys get along really well with the mossy frogs that also live in the aquarium. So I think we're at a really good number right now, and we're just going to kind of leave it at that.
Haley would like to expand on what does brackish mean?
Brackish is when the salt water meets the fresh water. So when the river flows into the ocean, sometimes there are like mangrove areas, estuaries is what they call them, where when the tide comes in, the salt water floods into the fresh water and it mixes. And that's what brackish means.
Haley's son would also like to know how are they brave?
How are they brave?
They're not being very brave right now.
They're being pretty not brave right now. I think it's kind of scary when there's a big person and they come to your.
Sorry, we're turning our radios down.
So it just takes a while to, get away from the fact that there's a big scary human that could hurt them. Even though they live here at the zoo and they're used to us and they were all raised in captivity, it's still kind of scary to have a big person on top of your aquarium.
How large is this aquarium?
This is a 220-gallon aquarium. So it's about 6 feet long and I think 2.5 feet wide and 2.5 feet tall, I think. There we go. Are we hunting? No.
I know, he took off. I thought he was going to do something.
Yeah, there's plenty
Psych.
of crickets up there. They just aren't watching them. I could dump a couple more in the water if we need to, but that's not really fun to watch. Maybe if we scoot down here where they are, they'll shift to our left. You want to try that real quick?
Yeah.
We do have a backup here. If this is still boring in a couple minutes, we'll do something fun. I promise something fun's going to happen.
Janie would like to know if they all have names.
I have not named them.
Do you have good names there's 5 of them?
There's
Do we know
5.
if they're boys or girls?
We don't know. I do know that they all have different patterns on their bodies. So if I took the time to photograph them, we could identify them based on the patterns on their bodies.
If you come up with 5 good names, we'll take suggestions.
Yes. They are being very scared today.
They're just watching us.
They're probably wondering what we're doing, why we're sitting here with our
Sure, I would like to know if they
camera.
all have different spots. They all do have slightly different patterns on them.
They've all got a kind of a big one on top and then a smaller one underneath, but you can see they're all a little bit different shapes.
Mom would like to know if they lay eggs. Are they egg-laying fish?
That's another good question. I will have to look up whether they are egg layers or live bears. I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, I keep seeing my reflection in the glass.
Yeah, not the best. All right, we'll give this guy a chance here. He's swimming over towards the branches. Maybe he sees something. I haven't fed them in a couple days, hoping that they would get real hungry and they'd be real ready to eat, but that's not happening apparently.
They got the easy ones that fell in the water.
They did, yeah. We could throw a couple more in the water and watch them eat those. Let's do that. If nothing else, you can see how they eat. They come up from underneath and grab those crickets. Maybe they're just not seeing the ones on the branches. They're too scared to swim over there, so they don't see them. All right. Well, this is kind of a bummer, kind of a disappointment. So let's go feed some animals that really do want to eat.
So goes animals.
Yes.
Unpredictable.
Yep. Animals and
head
children.
over
That's what they
this
say.
way.
To the root tank. Okay, so unlike the archerfish, which live in freshwater, this is a completely saltwater tank. And we've got a bunch of different types of fish, as well as a bunch of different types of coral. So all of the things you see in the water that are kind of moving are different types of coral. Those are all live animals. They don't look like animals, they look like plants, but they're actually animals. And the fish are excited. So I'm gonna feed them some krill. Just the krill. If you were watching yesterday, you saw Keeper Grace feed krill to the flamingos. So we're gonna put some in here. And these guys like to eat. They'll just eat out of my hands. And the blue one, he was trying to eat my hand. He was so excited to eat, he was eating out of my hand. So I'll try to give you all of the species we have, the fish species. The blue one is called a blue tang. That one's fairly common. The yellow is a yellow tang. Oops, I'm scaring him every time I point at him. The one that's all puffed up, looks like a triangle, is called a sailfin tang.
This guy.
There it goes, yep. It looks like a sail. The orange and white one, you guys all know that one from Finding Nemo. That's a clownfish. Can you see the speckled one back there?
Yeah.
Yes. That's called a pajama cardinalfish. Somebody at some point thought that was wearing pajamas, so they called it a pajama cardinalfish.
Oh, there's that pretty guy.
The green ones? Oops. Here we go.
Nope, there you are.
The blue and
The blue and yellow one that keeps
the
hiding.
blue and yellow
He's
is
fast.
an azure damselfish. There's lots of different damselfish.
There you are.
They're small, but they can be pretty aggressive. There's a blue-green chromis. There's 3 of those swimming around.
Harry would like to know if our clownfish is named Nemo.
You know what? As soon as everybody walks in the door, I hear them scream, Nemo! So I'm sure that's his name. And the blue one is named Dory, because I hear that as well.
We've got Dory, too.
Yeah. Oh, come over here. Keep it race. Under there, do you see that one?
Ooh, he's one of my favorites.
That's called a mandarin fish or a mandarin goby. It's kind of hard to see because he's at the bottom, but he's got a bunch of green and blue kind of swirled together. I think he looks pretty psychedelic myself. We'll give them some more food here real quick.
Are they all in the tang family? Which ones are the tangs?
The tangs are the three biggest ones. So the yellow tang, the blue tang, and the sailfin tang. And then the others are all different families.
Dory's hungry.
Dory's always hungry. If you look at Dory, she's quite wide. So Dory eats a lot. She's always the first one to eat.
She a big girl.
Yes. All right, well, we're going to start to wrap this up. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm sorry the archerfish didn't want to cooperate, but I'm glad that we were able to watch the saltwater tank eat. Tune in tomorrow. I think we're going to do goat yard tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Should be exciting. We get to see everybody's favorite goat, Bonnie.
Charlie.
And Charlie, yes, everybody loves Charlie. But we'll talk about what else is going on in the goat yard as well. So thanks for coming. Don't forget the donate button, and we'll see you soon.